Welcome all. How are you all doing? Oh, let me shut off the music. How are you all doing? And welcome, Mira Furlan. How are you?
Thank you, Alec. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm very well. I mean, considering,
all things considered, you're safely ensconced in your Hollywood Hills estate.
Yes.
Well, it's been a pleasure getting to know you the past couple of days and working through your technological issues.
I'm challenged all the time. Technologically, I have a very analog mind. It's very strange. It just doesn't want to go there into that technological digital.
Well, that's okay. You're an actor, and I get that. It's so funny because, as everyone knows, the people who watch us on a regular basis know, we dealing with JG every single time JG Hertzler has come on our stream. It's been a challenge to get him, and even the last time when we finally, the second to last time, had a process, he forgot the process and we had to start over again. So this time I was like,
say hello to him. He's my, soulmate. He's my friend.
He's a great guy.
He's from my tribe. That happens to me. And that is a cause of a lot of turmoil at home, because I always ask my husband and he tells me, but I told you that. And you learned. How can you forget from day to day? And I don't know. I have no explanation. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's my girlfriend says it's because I'm a boomer. She's like, you're a boomer. You just don't get technology. And I was like,
well, Steve Jobs was a boomer.
That's true. He did pretty all right with that stuff. So was Bill Gates.
My generation. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
So Mira, listen, you're most famous, obviously, for your role as Delenn in Babylon 5. But I think everyone always wants to know more about the actors that they love and they've come to adore. Tell us a little about, you're from Yugoslavia, yes? Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you came over here. Just tell us a little bit about the things that the average fan doesn't know about you.
Right. Well, so, the fact that people don't know much about me except Babylon 5 is also, connected to the way that American audience sees the rest of the world. There is a term in America which is foreign films. And I was always wondering, what does that mean, foreign films? So that's everything that is un-American, that it's not American. Do you know how much of it, that foreign stuff, do you know how much of it exists in the world?
Yeah, it's enormous.
Part of that whole big, huge realm, and in that realm, many things live, exist, happen, and so on and so forth. So, I in my country, I starred in many, many movies and did a lot of theater and a lot of television series and a lot of TV projects and so on. I mean, whoever is interested can go to my IMDb page. Okay, what happened? I wouldn't. I don't feel that I can actually tell you the whole story, and it's a heavy story. We had a war in our country.
Yes,
the war that split Yugoslavia and actually made it disappear. So the country that I was born in doesn't exist anymore. So the country went through a bloody war. And what came out of that war were 7 new countries, right, which are independent. I was born in Zagreb, which is the capital of Croatia, and I still have, some connections in Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia. After the war, I went back and did a couple of movies, a couple of theater projects, a TV series, and so on and so forth. Actually, when this whole pandemic thing happened, I was in Rijeka, which is a town in Croatia, where I I was involved in a theater project that I was writing and acting in. And then when it got canceled, I flew back to America. The whole story of the war and what happened to people who lived in that country, who had connections in all these various parts of the country, and suddenly the country was broken up into pieces. That story is a huge, big story that I'm actually trying to write.
Wow.
About my experience, which I'm trying to find the right way to place it out, to put it out into the world. I haven't found it yet, but that's been on my mind actually since the moment I came to America, to write about it. And also, things that are happening now in America. I mean, now we are in a very, very special moment, but even before that, with Trump's presidency and so on and so forth, there are so many things that remind me very much, and not in a good way, of the pre-war situation in my country. The narrative of hatred, of divisiveness, of violence was there even before the first, gun was shot. And that created an incredible anxiety in me and in people like me. I didn't want to participate in that. And so I left. It seems so easy and so simple, but it wasn't, of course. It's one of those stories where it's one of those events that kind of breaks your life into two halves, before and after. The fact was that, we had to begin. I came with my husband, and we had to start from zero, a whole new life in a new language, in a new culture, with new rules and so on and so forth. So that's the story I want to write, which I wrote. Now is the matter of somehow for it to get out, which is very hard to do.
So let me ask you a geopolitical question. So setting the war aside now, the resulting countries, you said 7 countries from Yugoslavia, and there was all sorts of ethnic strife,
right,
that result in this war. Do you think that now, because now we're 30 years away from 25 years, 30 years away from the war?
The war began in 91, so yes, almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years. Do you think now that the region is more stable than it was when Yugoslavia was one country with all this internal strife?
I can't judge that because I don't live there anymore. I live in America now, and I wouldn't be able to say, to give a judgment of that weight.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you this. So you arrived here when? What year did you arrive in the U.S.?
Late 91. It was, end of November 91.
And when did were you cast in Babylon 5?
Well, we shot the movie, the pilot of Babylon 5, in the summer of 91. So I was very lucky. I was very lucky, actually.
How did you get cast in Babylon 5? How did that all happen?
It's just an audition. I got this agent through almost by chance, and this agent sent me to a couple of auditions. It was one of my first auditions, really. And so that was very interesting. And the audition happened in New York. When we emigrated from the former Yugoslavia, we landed in New York. New York was always, I was there a couple of years before the war started and so on, and completely fell in love with the city and thought, this is it. This is where I want to live. This is the city of, diversity. And it's like living in a world. It was fascinating to me. And you know, when we were thinking, like, what do we do? Where do we go? How do we resolve this? You know, New York was on my mind. And I thought, yeah, that's it. You know, when I was there as a tourist a couple of years before the war, I didn't have the guts. I was not brave enough to stay. And I had a very successful career at home. I was a member of a theater. I was in a TV series. I was called to do, you know, movies and so on and so on. Things were happening, and I could not resolve this in myself. So it took a war to get me out, which is interesting. But your question, yes, a random audition. I forgot about it. They never called back. You know, it was put somewhere in some pocket, forgotten. And then by chance, my husband had a screening of a documentary that he made at VGA. And he was invited to be at that screening. And my agent said, why don't you check it out, you know? And so I did, you know, check out LA. I wanted to see what it was all about. And when I was there, my agent was smart enough to call the Babylon 5 people, or at least I think she was. I have no idea. I forgot. It was a long time ago. But somehow it happened that she calls me and says, Mira, they want to see you again since you're already in LA. And so they saw me, and I had another audition and yet another audition, a couple of, you know, auditions, and then a screen test, and I got the job.
And who are your auditions with?
You know, but I always think, what if I didn't accompany Gordon just as his wife, you know, just as a, you know, this is a package. You know, what if I wasn't there? Would they fly me over from New York? I don't know, you know. So it's, you know, it's always in life. These tiny little things, these tiny little events, then connect and, you know, create your path. Yeah.
So who did you audition for when you auditioned in LA?
The casting directors was Mary Jo Slater and the director of the pilot, Richard Compton. I met Joe Straczynski when I came to Los Angeles, when I did the audition in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Gotcha. So did you become friendly with John Iacovelli at all?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Isn't he awesome?
He is awesome. He's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spirit and a beautiful man.
Yeah, he was working as our production designer when we were in LA. Before we got sued by CBS and Paramount. Wait. Oh yeah. We did. I should have prep. Yeah. So when we came out with our short film in 2014, and then it was so successful, we raised $1 million to make a full-length feature film of the short film. And we released the first scene from it. And that first scene was so good that CBS and Paramount sued us because they didn't want us to make the movie before they came out with Star Trek Discovery. So, and long story short, we hired a great law firm, and it went on for a year, and they finally settled with us. So we still get to make 2 more short films. So anyway,
right.
But before we were sued, John Iacovelli was working as our production designer, and if you for a short time, Curtis Lassiter was working as our construction coordinator. I don't know if you knew Curtis. He was the construction coordinator who converted the sound stages there in, I guess, was it Sun Valley? It was there.
Yeah, Sun Valley. Right?
Sun Valley. Yeah. So we have a bunch of people, but John was awesome, and he's just so artistic.
He's a theater man, you know. We connect on so many levels, but on that also, you know, we're old theater people.
Yeah. You ever been to his house?
Yes, I've been. He actually, when we did a version of an adaptation of Sophocles' Antigone in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and we invited. I mean, we worked with John Iacovelli on that, and he made an absolutely unbelievable set
I'm sure
that
he did.
made the show. I mean, it's so fantastic. He's so talented and so wonderful.
We went one time when we went down to this like flooring store down on I think it was off of Sunset or somewhere, and we were looking for flooring for our bridge set and this and that, and just to watch him work and hear him talk about, oh well, this would do this to the set and this would do this to the set, and oh, this looks, it was wonderful just to be in his presence when he's thinking these things out loud. It's wonderful.
These things, right?
Yeah. So here you are in the U.S. less than a year, and you get this role, and of course it was for the pilot. So tell us about working on the pilot.
I mean, if you remember in the pilot, I was covered with latex from head to toe, right? So there was always, with Babylon 5, there was always this exhilaration. Yes, a job and a great role and so on. But there's this other element, you can actually see me. So it was in a way like working incognito, in a way, right? The pilot was disturbing to me. I mean, it was, I had to adjust and adapt in so many ways because as an actor, you work with your face and somehow suddenly you don't have that face. So it's a huge adjustment. It is very challenging. And I always say, and I really, really mean it, that the person who taught me the most about that was Andreas Katsoulas, who came when we were doing the pilot, and he saw me kind of miserable and hot and disturbed by this. He told me, Mira, think of it. Theater began in the old country because he was Greek, so we are.
So am I.
We are neighbors. So he said, you remember, theater started with masks. Try to find freedom in the lack of freedom, in that frame that's given to you. It can be liberating. See it as liberating. So it's all about the point of view. How do you turn your perspective and when you do, then you can function in a completely different way. Yeah.
And he did it so beautifully in Babylon 5. I think he is certainly one of my 2 or 3 favorite characters in all of television history. I think, it was so, his role, I mean, you were all amazing. It's still one of my 2 or 3 favorite TV shows of all time. And it was amazing. I think the show was great because it brought to us actors that we really never heard of, including yourself. No one really knew Andreas Katsoulas. I mean, he was the one-armed man in The Fugitive. That was the one other big thing. Or Peter Jurasik had a small part on Hill Street Blues, but basically he was still a relative unknown. I mean, Bruce Boxliner was the only person really, I think that had a name amongst television, any fandom. And meanwhile, you guys, and a lot of, certainly is credited with Joe Straczynski because of his amazing writing, but it's just, it is an eminently watchable show to go back and binge 5 seasons again, because you all turned in such amazing performances and had such rich, wonderful, meaty stuff to dig into. At least that's the way it appears to us. And
good.
how does it feel? How did it feel to you?
I think we were a good bunch of people and a good team. I really do. I think kind of an exceptional team, really. We came, all of us, I mean, each of us came from such a different place, different tradition, different culture. I mean, for example, me, right? I mean, from Jerry Doyle, who used to be on Wall Street. to me, who came from Eastern Europe, and and I don't know. It was to Jason Carter, to so many different people, different actors, but different people, different personalities that somehow made it into this amalgam, of mystery and magic. That was deep. No, but really, I think the combination of all of us was what was really important for the show. Apart, of course, from the brilliance of Joe's writing. Right?
Yeah, it's such a wonderful ensemble cast. It really is. And it was amazing how you would lose someone and another person would step in and add different character to the show. And the show never lost a beat. You felt like, I think that was one of the things that was amazing.
Right.
How the show just kept adding characters that were just wonderful.
For me also, okay, they were all good actors and wonderful people to work with. But the fact that we actually stayed connected after the end of the show, that's a little miracle. Because, I have a long career in movies and in various projects and so on. I've never stayed in touch with the whole cast on any of my projects in Yugoslavia, in America, anywhere that I worked. It's really unusual. And that is something to cherish and to be grateful for. And I really am. And I'm so glad that Pat, Claudia, and I are doing this thing together as the three. The three.
And we should, and let's talk about this this event coming up. That is, is B5. Are the three of you B5 events? Is that it?
What do you mean?
Who is putting this on? Is it the three of you together, or is it a separate company that's bringing you in?
Pat is the wizard, and Pat is the queen of this event.
Gotcha. And it is
just grateful to be invited.
Gotcha. Well, it's basically an event with the three ladies here of Babylon 5, yourself, Claudia, and Pat. And we just had Pat on here about 2 weeks ago. She's awesome. We love Pat. So it's it's kind of like a virtual convention almost, which is getting popular. And it's on May 30th. You can go to b5events.com. And I think, the thing is with what we're going through right now with the COVID-19, it is, this is becoming more and more popular because we can't go to conventions.
But it's fantastic how adaptable people are. I mean, I'm in awe. I'm in awe of Pat, who put this together in such a short time. And, I'm also I'm teaching at a film school, which is beginning on Tuesday, and I'm doing my classes on Zoom. And I've been teaching for a while. I cannot even imagine it. But obviously it's going to happen. And on a Tuesday, I'll be, talking to students like this. It's a huge adjustment. And for people like me who, as I said, have an analog mind, it's a tricky thing. There's so much animosity that one feels that you have to kind of get over, and just adapt, I guess, adapt.
Well, and I think we, everyone is getting used to this. Certainly, I mean, everyone's talking about Zoom, and it's funny because, it's a technology that's been around for 10 years. I don't know how long it's been around, but now everyone knows what Zoom is.
You know that. So it's an old technology, and now.
Oh yeah. I was using Zoom 10 years ago, maybe but yeah, it's been around for a while. And but now everyone's doing it, but now classes are moving online. I mean, it's not just this little convention you're doing online. It's classes, education. I think we're just going to learn that this is just a new way to do things, and it will become the new normal.
I mean, it already has become a new normal, even before this. So, I feel that this situation, this pandemic, this virus is actually accelerating and deepening all the trends that have already existed. Whether we are talking about on a micro level, on a personal level, or, the global level, the macro level. I mean, everything that already existed is now getting stronger. So all these trends. So if you were if you had trouble with socializing with people, it's gonna get worse. So it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I'm okay being alone. I like being alone. Because I like where I am, and I like my books, and I have so much stuff to do, and I have to figure out how to and what to do with my book, and so on and so forth. I mean, I have so much. I've never felt busier than right now. It's
that's fantastic.
No, I don't know if it's fantastic. I no, but I mean, busier.
Being busy is great.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Busy in terms of like trying to get it, trying to learn, trying to adjust, trying to adapt. It's not busy doing, as people love to say, what you love. I don't know if I love getting into, intricacy of technology, but I have to do it if I want to function, if I want to stay afloat, right? As we all do. I mean, it's a huge, huge, huge adjustment in a completely unpredictable situation.
That is true. It is unpredictable. What film school are you teaching for?
It's called New York Film Academy.
Oh yeah, sure, I know. Are you still acting? Is that still something? Now, obviously, right now we're all shut down.
I was just in a city in Rijeka where we were where I was working on this theater project show. Right. I did a movie in Serbia in November. I mean, I did a couple of video games here. That's a new thing that's been happening.
Did you?
Right. I did a cool one actually, an underwater game. Where with research that included research into whales. It was a beautiful thing. I have this prejudice that games are violent. All of them are violent, which is of course a stupid prejudice. So no, not all of them are violent.
Gotcha. And you worked on Mark Zickery's Space Command project, which a lot of our fans know because it's another kick-started science fiction project, very similar, in scope to what we did. How was your time doing that? Because that was an ultra low budget.
It's weird. It's one of those things where, again, we were doing something online. I had to shoot myself and so on and so forth. I mean, it's I don't know what to think about it, this new way of doing things. I mean, I'm thinking, okay, why even go to a cinematography school, for example, right? Why do people know how to light a person's face if we're all gonna do it by ourselves, in our kitchens and our, I don't know, toilets? I mean, I don't know. It's the end of professionalism, maybe. There is that element.
Yeah. It's
the total democratization of everything, which is
that's exactly
on one hand, but on the other hand, what happens to expertise? What happens to knowledge? What happens to skill?
Well, there was a Hollywood writer who a few months ago came out with a tweet that went viral, and he basically said, "Look," he said, "I am asked all the time by wannabe writers, wannabe screenplay writers, how do I sell a script in Hollywood?" And he said, "My answer to you is you don't. You have a better chance of becoming an NFL linebacker than you do of selling a script in Hollywood." He said, "What you do is you go make a film." And he said, "And everyone can make a film because we all have this, and it's an HD camera. So go and make a 3-minute film. He said, and show it to everyone, and it's probably going to be bad, but you're just going to show it to your family because you're going to be embarrassed, and then go out and make a 5-minute film, and then make another one, and then another one. And he said, and you're going to write it, you're going to direct it, you're going to edit it, you're going to start it, you're going to do these things over and over and over, and your creativity is going to come out, and you're going to start understanding what filmmaking is all about. And I think that's true. I recently, the director, I don't know if you saw it, the director of the John Wick movies, he took the new iPhone 10 and made like this. It was like a 2-minute movie about an epic snowball fight, and it looked like it was shot on, big cinematographic cameras. It was just amazing.
I went to the movie theater to see Steven Soderbergh's movie a couple of years ago that he shot on his phone, just on a regular phone. It looked weird, I have to say, but it worked. I mean, it was watchable, right? So yeah, no, that's all possible. I don't know. Maybe all film schools should be, or theater schools should just be disbanded.
I don't think
experts in everything, right?
Well, I think there's a difference between democratization, which is good, and expertise, which needs to be valued. Everyone may be able to.
The slippery slope we are at right now.
Yeah, because everyone can do it doesn't mean everyone's going to get an Academy Award, right? Or get nominated. Tell us, what is the one other film, TV show, that you would like your fans to see that you were in? You say, oh, I did this, what? And it was amazing.
I was on Lost for 4 years.
Oh, that's right. How can I forget?
I was on an Amazon.
I only watched the first 2 seasons.
That a couple of years ago. I mean, like maybe 2 years ago. I know. On an Amazon show called Just Add Magic. I was a recurring role for a couple of seasons. I played. I think actresses and women in general are gonna love that. I mean, I played a woman who doesn't age.
Oh wow!
So everybody around me was changing, because there were a lot of kids in that show. So the kids were growing up, and then somebody else would play those kids when they grew up. Only I was always me, because I was this magical being that never aged. So I don't know. Maybe a drop of that magic fell on my head. We'll see.
How was your time on Lost?
My time on Lost, yeah, it was. An actress gave me an advice. She told me to whenever things get complicated, the right thing to say is, I learned a lot. So I learned a lot.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's like saying,
I loved being in Hawaii. I loved getting to know. I'm grateful for that experience, to be able to see those islands from within. I know that Pat loves Hawaii, and I mean, I could live there tomorrow.
And which island was it filmed on?
Oahu. Right. But but when you do it, when you're there with a TV show, then you go to these places where you would never be able to go. You would never be able to enter. So we were in completely. I never knew that Oahu, the main island, had so many wild places. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. Not everyone understands the process of acting and what acting actually is. But aside from the craft, there's also the process. Like, okay, I sometimes we hear from Star Trek actors who talk about it on stage, and they'll say, yeah, I had to be in the makeup trailer at 5 a.m. every morning, and I sat for 3 hours while they put on my Klingon makeup.
Not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to get up at 2:30, which I was doing when I was shooting Babylon 5, 2:30, so that I could be on the set at 4. And I to be ready at 7. And then all these human actors would come and be ready in like 10 minutes, But I have to say, we had a really lovely alien trailer, and the quotation marks, because we were all very much into music. Bill Mumy is a musician, a fabulous musician. Peter Jurasik is incredibly musical and has fantastic taste. I sang and had bands and I music is, I don't know, the essential piece in my life, has always been. So it was music time from 4 to 7 in this complete peacefulness of that makeup trailer. We were, everybody would come with their homemade, compilation tapes in those days, tapes. I still have them. I can't throw them away. This Billy's tape, Bill Mumy would make me tapes, Minbari morning music, or leisurely Minbari, 7 o'clock or hour, and so on and so forth. It was beautiful. So we were exchanging music. We were listening to music. These 3 hours were actually a really nice, soothing, smooth transition into work, right? Yeah. So I have only good memories of these early hours where when we were the only ones on the set. There was something magical. There was something really powerful in it,
So tell me, which was it harder to have the full season 1 prosthetic or the season 2 part where you had the little ring around your head?
Easier and much more comfortable to have my hair and to have my skull aired than covered with latex. It's a lot to deal with. A lot of discomfort. But that's acting. There's always discomfort that you have to overcome. That's kind of the basic thing in acting. Everything works against you. There are people standing around. There are these intrusions and so on and so forth. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too uncomfortable, and so on and so forth. But you have to be on, and you have to be truthful, and that's it. That's kind of it. That's what it's all about. So to deal with discomfort and to be able to overcome it, it's actually the kind of the basic challenge of acting. The only thing is that, when you play an alien on a TV show, then it becomes a little bit more pronounced and there is more of this discomfort. But, everybody has to deal with, I think, every actor.
What was the set like on Babylon 5? What was the...
It was great. Doug Netter, who was our producer, I remember that he said one day, and somehow I remembered it. He said, "I don't want screamers on my set," and I remembered that sentence so many times afterwards, where people would scream, insult actors, humiliate actors.
Really?
Scream and shout and be really hurtful to people. I was thinking, oh my God, where is Netter? Where is that producer who would say, stop it, keep it down? That's the essence. I cannot stand these these crazy sets. They're really detrimental to me. I think to everybody.
I would think so.
Drama. I've been on these sets many times, where people break down and shout and scream and there are fights. Oh, we never had that on Babylon 5. Not once. I cannot remember one time. I don't know if Pat can or Claudia can. I cannot remember one single time that happened. It was peaceful. It was friendly. It was kind. It was respectful. Nice.
It needs to be. Listen, my experience is quite limited, but certainly that's that's what we strive for in our little independent production is, everyone respects everyone. There's no reason for that. You can get upset at things when things don't go right. Certainly people get upset, but there's, and certainly you can't, I'm amazed because you certainly can't be that way with actors because, because only I would have, but just, I'm like, look, I know what they're trying to do. It ain't going to help if you're screaming at someone.
Right.
That's not going to help them get where they need to go.
You basically, it's impossible to work, right? It's just, you have to be at peace with yourself in order to do this thing called acting. If you're not, there's nothing's going to happen. Right. So yes, I agree with that, but the reality is different. And so in that way, Babylon 5 was also a nice place to work, a really nice place. I wish, I was always fascinating in every movie that I made. Being on location is such a powerful thing. And it makes you more truthful somehow. It doesn't allow you to be fake. Because there's the real tree, the real rock, the real sea, So, but we on Babylon 5 were constantly in front of a green screen. There was no truth. We had to keep it inside, right? There was, as that's science fiction, right? Only afterwards you kind of realize what you reacted to because you didn't see it while you were
right.
So imagination, you had to use your imagination a lot.
Yeah. It was for what we did back in with our first short film. We shot on green screen, but there was no reacting to it. It was basically interviews. It was documenting interviews. Just happened to shoot on a green screen. This time we shot on a set. It didn't really change. It didn't change because you weren't interacting necessarily with the set, but. I know some of the things that you did, especially which season was it? Was the season 2 finale when you're in the atrium and everyone looks up and sees Kosh. And that was just you could just tell you're just looking, there's a lot of CG in this scene.
Okay.
Yeah. And everyone.
Yeah. Sometimes you saw it in the end, the actual product, and you thought, oh my God, okay, wow. I imagined it completely differently. Somehow it worked, but
it worked for you. Yeah, exactly. You create what you need, right? What you need to get where you need to go.
I guess.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Tell us the most fun you ever had on the set at Babylon 5? Where was there any one time where you were just like could not keep a straight face? You were laughing so hard, you were having so much fun, and who?
Every time I listened to Jerry Doyle, I would be on the floor, and I wished so many times, stop it, Jerry, because I'm laughing and enjoying your wit. Claudia and Jerry, their back and forth was phenomenal, hysterical. I mean, it should have been a TV series of its own, I was playing catch up, because it goes so fast. Those were fast thinking people. I mean, a lot of slang. And I, with all my, classes of English,
they weren't teaching you all of that.
What did she say? Why is it funny? Wait, it's tricky. Yep.
Right. I can imagine. As for someone who wasn't raised speaking the language.
At one point, I don't know what it was. It was Christmas time, I think. And somebody mentioned Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I said, what? And Rick Biggs says, you don't know who Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is? unacceptable. And next day he brought me, I don't know, 7, like a bunch of videos of DVDs, VHS cassettes in those times. And those were the classics of Christmas, films, American Christmas films.
Grinch Stole Christmas, Charlie Brown's Christmas.
We had to go through, oh my God, Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman, yeah.
Rudolph
the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Red-Nosed Reindeer. I mean, I don't remember, but there was
Grinch.
He said, "Okay, I don't want to talk to you unless you see all of them. You have to educate yourself."
Right. Yeah.
That's how I became American.
Well, you had good teachers that insisted that you learn the classics.
Absolutely, the basics.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The sad thing is you've lost so many of your friends.
Oh.
Your cast has just been devastated by loss. And is there one that you were particularly close with that you lost, that that your heart aches for?
I mean, I counted Rick Biggs and Andreas into the very, very close circle of my friends, and there was another actor also who was my friend, my close friend, and that's Tim Choate.
Oh yeah,
Andreas, right? So, I mean, unimaginable, incredible. You can't wrap your mind around it. But they're here. They what beautiful, beautiful people.
Yeah, I actually saw a meme yesterday with Tim Choate's character with Satras, like a meme on Facebook with the photo, and I was like, wow, that's kind of wild that it's a meme on Facebook. But I think Babylon 5 it's so interesting because it has such an enduring quality that science fiction fans can come to it later. And I know when fans come to it now, the visual effects can seem dated because they were so cutting edge at the time. But the story and the characters are just are unbelievable. It really does not lose any of its grandeur in the 5th time you watch the series.
That's very nice to hear.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So how was it working with Bruce Boxliner? Because you had a lot of work with Bruce.
Right. I mean, Bruce is a very, very, super professional, super kind, super civilized, super nice. I enjoyed every moment. And again, we stayed in touch, and, it's wonderful to be able to work with such people, I feel very lucky.
So tell everyone out there, as an actor, what is the thing that you appreciate the most in your fellow actor?
Being present, listening to me, seeing me, feeling me, letting me feel you, that kind of thing, the real truthful contact, and with some people that's so easy because they let you in, because they're open, and they let themselves be vulnerable, and that's where the gold is, so to say, right? Some people have a tougher time to do that. And you have to struggle to kind of get in, and sometimes there's nothing that happens with the other actor, just nothing, and then you use your imagination. It's like working with a green screen, right? You just right. I mean, that's also your duty. You cannot. But I mean, a good actor can lift you up, and a bad actor can put you down. I mean, whenever I worked with Andreas, for example, I felt lifted up. I felt he saw something that I didn't see before when I was working on the scene. He had such an interesting point of view as an actor, and he brought something up, and I would glue myself to that, and then it would grow and it would become a scene. So these are these beautiful moments that we all, love and kind of, live for, search for. And, sometimes you find them and sometimes you don't, and that's cool too.
Well, I have to think that doing a play, especially where you're doing multiple performances, that is both an exquisite challenge, but also I got to believe that it's incredibly rewarding to find those the same scene happening different ways, maybe on different nights that you're doing the performance.
Right. That's an interesting. I mean, one of my teachers at the Academy of Dramatic Arts, where I went as a young person, said, that playing being in a theater performance every night, that every night you, it's a good image. So, as if the performance each night is a chest of drawers, and you open the drawer and search for something in it, and you open one drawer, there's nothing in it. Open the other drawer, nothing in it. Open the third drawer, nothing in it. And then the fourth drawer, oops, there it is. I mean, you don't know if you're gonna find it or not. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and you kind of have to live with it. I haven't done much theater lately. I went back to Croatia and did a play, Ingmar Bergman's play, 3 years ago. And but just to have theater in my life on some level is important to me, because that's how I started. It started with theater for me.
There's a question. Edward Louis has a question here. It says, "What in your personal life can you relate to your character of Delenn?" I mean, I'm guessing he's saying, what did you find in your personal life to bring to that character?
Oh, so much, and also, Joe, being a wonderful writer that he is, kind of incorporated very, very, very elegantly, very smoothly, pieces of, let's say, me or my life or my personal experience into the role. I don't know, her whole, the combination of vulnerability and toughness, for example. The other thing on just the story level, in my country, I tried to be, let's say, a bridge, right, between these peoples who went to war. Obviously, when there is a war, all bridges are put down and destroyed and walls are built, right? So, I'm a bridge person, not a wall person, just to be clear, in any country. So that particular kind of my role in that whole Yugoslav, disaster was very similar to the storyline that Joe created for Delenn. Trying to be this bridge, this link between groups that cannot live together, something like that. I think there is a lot, in Delenn that I can respond to.
What was and Bonnie has a question. Was Delenn originally meant to marry Sinclair?
I wouldn't know that. I don't. So, but I don't know. You have to ask Joe about that.
That was a big change when Michael left the series after one season. I'm sure that
other conversation.
Yeah, it did. What was the character that you enjoyed relationship between Delenn and this character the most?
No, there were so many interesting guest stars on our show, from Michael York to Theodore Bickel, for example.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
so many. But I each of the people that I work with brought something completely different and brought something completely different in me. And so you're grateful for these different things that people draw out of you, you know? So I can't say, I mean, I love working with Bruce. It was so easy, so smooth. I loved working with Bill Mumy. Those were my partners. For example, I don't even know. I mean, Andreas, we almost never met, that we never had anything to do together. But when we did, it was always, I mean, it impressed me so much each and every time. Andreas was just like, whoa, With Peter, unfortunately, I had so little to do. But of course, every single time was pleasure. But I never really, so little did I work with Claudia, with Pat. Almost nothing. It's interesting how we were there, but never really, in a scene together.
Right.
A different way of being close, I would say. Right.
Gotcha. Well, listen, we want to thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing with everyone, because you have so many fans who love your work, myself included. And yeah, I'm a huge fan. So thank you so much. Please be happy and safe and healthy and
be happy and healthy and safe.
Yes. all the important things. And we'll look forward to catching up with you again, and maybe we'll get you and Pat and Claudia on our show at some point.
Lovely. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I'd love to have you all. Well, listen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Alec. It was a pleasure.
We wish you well.
And all of you have a wonderful time and stay safe.
Yes, to everyone. Thank you, everyone. We'll see everyone the next time. Bye-bye.
Right. Okay.